Welcome to my first tutorial about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology in general. For the first video, we're going to talk about what is a blockchain and what are cryptocurrencies. This is just going to be a basic high-level overview of what's the difference between the two and kind of just the basics of what's going on in the field of blockchain today. So, the first cryptocurrency ever created was Bitcoin. It was created in 2009. Soon after, a lot of other cryptocurrencies were created, and currently we have over 1200 cryptocurrencies, crypto coins on the market. So Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, but it's just an example of a cryptocurrency, right? So a cryptocurrency is just like a regular currency, but it's not backed by a country or a bank, or there's no central authority that's gonna regulate the money. It's decentralized, and everyone who uses the network and mines it and so on is a participant in the network, and it's a node in the network. So it's a decentralized network where there's no central authority to it. It's called cryptocurrency because it's backed by cryptographic principles. So cryptography like hashes and asymmetric cryptography are used to ensure the security of the system. We're not gonna go into details today, but in future videos we're gonna talk more about what cryptographic principles are actually used. So how are cryptocurrencies actually used? So the main use case is actually sending and receiving money. You receive money in terms of coins, which are units of that currency. So you can receive 10 bitcoins or give 10 bitcoins or whatever with the Bitcoin wallet, so called. So like we said, each time we send or receive some sort of coin or currency, all we do is we add a transaction to that network, and the whole network of nodes who are people actually using that network agree that the transaction was valid. So how does it actually have any value? Because if you think about it, it's just a way to securely and in a decentralized way write transactions, and we agree that the transactions are truthful. So it has value, but by the economic principle of supply and demand, basically, speaking, if you want something and are willing to pay some sort of goods or some sort of, other currency like dollar or euros or whatever for it, is going to have value. So people want Bitcoin and people are willing to pay for Bitcoin, so Bitcoin has some value. That's a really simplified view of it, but in the core that's really what's happening. So in order to understand the actual blockchain, so we kind of explained what a cryptocurrency is. So just a way through the internet in the decentralized manner to send over some value. Basically, that's a cryptocurrency, right? And there's thousands of cryptocurrencies. The most popular is Bitcoin. So a blockchain is just actually an underlying technology of how Bitcoin works, or most of other cryptocurrency, how they work. So like we said, sending coins is just creating transactions, and transactions are stored in blocks, and all the blocks are linked together, and each block references the last one and the one next to it. So to add the block, we need to do some proof of work, and we need to verify the transaction. So that was just a lot at once. So let's just look at what's going on. So when we sent someone some Bitcoin, let's say I sent Bob 3 Bitcoins, I would actually be creating a transaction. So a transaction will be added to pending transactions, and it will be a candidate for a new block. So each in Bitcoin, each 10 minutes a new block is added to the chain, right? So when we add a transaction, the transaction will be added to a block, and then the miners will work towards verifying and creating a new block. Okay, now so it's probably all scrambled up, but what a blockchain is a sort of a database, right, where each node in a network will have the blockchain, so every transaction he will have in the blockchain, right? And so all the blockchain does is a chain of blocks, and each one of those blocks contains transactions. One also really important thing and property about the blockchain is that it has a hash of a previous function and a hash of the next function. So if you don't know what hashes are, they're like digital fingerprint, right? So we can give it some data, some files, some whatever kind of data, right, an image or something, and it will produce a fixed size hash. Hash is just like a string of numbers and letters, right? So something like a ID of sorts, right? So for the same input, it always provides the same hash, right? And if we change one small thing, so if we change, I send not 10 bitcoins but 100 bitcoins, the hash of this block will change completely. So when we have, so if we want to, let's say, change the second block, these two blocks will reference the last one. So if we change something here, the hash will completely change. So the chain is no longer valid because this block was pointing to this, to the hash of this block, but the hash completely changed. So that way, with the blockchain, the deeper we are in the blockchain, the more secure it is, because if we change something, we basically need to rehash all of the other blocks up from that transaction. So that's one really interesting property about the blockchain. The second thing I kind of mentioned a bit is proof of work. I'm not gonna go into a lot of details about it, but basically in order to create a block, you need to do a hard problem, and you need to use a lot of computing power to do it. So you need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to create the new block, and you will be rewarded some coins. That's called mining. So that way, if we want to actually change the history and say that I didn't send 10 bitcoins, I sent 1 bitcoin, I would have to, recalculate all this hash, this block, and all the other blocks, and I would have to do the same work, and the work is very expensive, so that would cost me a lot more than it would be if I would save those 9 bitcoins. If it would actually cost me millions and millions of dollars, so it's kind of providing the security of the blockchain. So just to recap, because I babbled a lot, the blockchain is just a part of the technology that cryptocurrency use to ensure that transactions are valid and that transactions are secure and that attackers cannot just change it. So cryptocurrencies are distributed internet-based currencies that can be used for transfer of value without a central party, so without a bank or a country or anything like that. So the people kind of through supply and demand agree on the price, and they can easily trade with it. A blockchain is a database or ledger that is supported by cryptographic principles, right? And it's also just a part of the technology that cryptocurrencies use. And a blockchain can not only be used for cryptocurrencies, but there are some other issues, other areas where blockchains could be used. So that's about it for the first video. If anybody's watching, feel free to leave a comment and tell me what you think about this.